For a group project, we'll be talking about contracts. This is by Abigail Benson, Matthew Schessel, Rachel Raridan, and Tyler Fransky. So we'll start off by asking, what makes a contract valid? 4 elements are needed in order to make a valid contract. These include agreement, consideration, contractual capacity, and legality. The first being agreement. Agreement refers to the parties of a contract agreeing to its terms and their mutual assent to it. 2 elements must be present in an agreement. The first being an offer, or the promise to do something or refrain from doing something in the future from the offerer. The second part is the acceptance, which is a voluntary act of giving mutual assent or agreement to the terms of the offer by the offeree. The second element of a valid contract is consideration, which refers to the reasons that cause a party to enter a contract. Consideration consists of 2 elements. The first being, something of legally sufficient value must be given in exchange for the promise. This can be in the form of a promise to do something with no legal prior duty to do, the performance of an action which is otherwise not obligated to be performed, or forbearance. The second element is there must be a bargain for exchange, which means that an item of value must be given or promised by the offerer for an item of value from the offeree. The third element of a valid contract is contractual capacity, which protects individuals with little experience, such as minors, and individuals deemed mentally incompetent from entering legally binding contracts. Different groups of people that fall under this situation include minors, so individuals of less than 18 years of age, the intoxicated, and mentally incompetent individuals. The fourth and final aspect of a valid contract is legality, which requires a contract to be formed for a legal purpose. The types of illegal contracts include contracts contrary to statute, which are contracts to commit crimes, usury, or gambling contracts. The other type of illegal contracts include contracts contrary to public policy. Examples of these include contracts in restraint of trade and discriminatory contracts.
Oh, another one?
Heck yeah! It's only like my 10th captain. Big deal.
Oh my god. Okay, so are you thinking about like buying these shoes or what?
Oh yeah, what were you thinking, like $20 or?
20? No, we were talking 100 earlier.
100?
Yeah, hundo.
Why not?
Perfect.
I'm hammered. That sounds good to me.
Okay, sounds good to me too.
Previous video demonstrated a situation where a contract may become voidable. In order for a contract to become voidable, some requirements need to be met. So, what are those requirements? First of all, let's just talk about the necessities for a valid contract. So, a party can choose to either avoid their duty of a contract, making it voidable, or they can choose to ratify the contract and then fully perform whatever the contractual duty is. In this situation, the seller's duty was selling the shoes, and the buyer's duty was giving the seller $100 for those shoes. So, contracts made by mentally incompetent, intoxicated persons and minors can be voidable. Tyler was not in the correct state of mind to be fully aware of what he was agreeing to. Tyler being so drunk off of 10 Captain Morgan mixed drinks caused him to be unaware of the situation and what exactly he was agreeing to, which in this case was the $100 to buy the shoes, instead of a price that might be a little bit more reasonable, like $20 or something like that. So, considering that he was so intoxicated, Tyler can use the excuse of being in the incorrect mental state in order to fully agree to this contract. Therefore, he can choose to avoid his contractual duty.
Hi, Andrea. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good as well. So you are wanting to buy my 200 acres of land with the house included?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, it's located in Jackson, Mississippi, and is listed at a price of $500,000. Are you still interested?
Yep.
Great. Let's plan on closing on January 1st, 2021.
Sounds awesome.
Great. It was a pleasure doing business with you. January 1st, 2021 came and Andrea backed out. I tried to enforce it, but I couldn't because the contract that was discussed was not in writing. Contracts are unenforceable when it lacks a legal requirement. The example that was just provided is unenforceable because it did not meet the writing requirement, which falls under the statute of frauds. The statute of frauds requires certain contracts to be in writing. These include 1, contracts involving land, 2, contracts that cannot be performed within 1 year from the date it was formed, 3, collateral or secondary contracts, 4, contracts involving marriage, and 5, contracts involving the sale of goods of $500 or more. Because the contract in the example was made orally, it cannot be enforceable by either parties. To make it enforceable, the contract should be in writing and include the name of the parties involved in the sale, identify the land with reasonable certainty, provide the conditions of the transfer, and then state the price of the sale.
I'll sell you this dog for $50. Sounds good.
This contract is an enforceable contract because it is a valid contract that is not voidable or unenforceable. It is a valid contract because there are no legal defenses against it. It meets all the requirements of a valid contract: agreement, consideration, capacity, and legality. There was an offer and an acceptance according to the requirements. Both parties bargained for the exchange of things of legally sufficient value. Both parties had the capacity to enter into a contract, and the contract did not have an illegal purpose. Also, the contract is not voidable. Neither of the parties were minors or mentally incompetent people or people so intoxicated that they could not understand the consequences of the contract they entered into. Also, the contract is not unenforceable. This type of contract does not have to be in writing under the statute of frauds. The formation of contracts is a necessary part of any business, so it is important to ensure that those contracts are enforceable to avoid the possibility that the other party to the contract does not follow through, causing the business to lose revenue or otherwise lose the benefit of the contract.